Crossing the United States to his native South Africa, Nolan continues to push barriers and inspire people to inspire themselves. And you could be next. Join Nolan's 7-day online groundbreaking program called Obstacles Make Me Stronger, aimed at teaching you how to overcome any obstacles you may face. Break barriers, be innovative, and take control of your life. For more information, check out Obstacles Make Me Stronger, now on Udemy.
Good morning, good evening, good afternoon, wherever you are in the world, and welcome to Inspirational Journeys Through Life with Straight Talk with Nolan. My name is Nolan Pillay, and I am your host for today. I have a journey, you have a journey, but how many of us share our inspirational journeys to inspire others through life? Of course, our journeys are authentic, and we know it will resonate with you. So today, it's our pleasure and honor to welcome Kanika Jain, an amazing soul. Trust me, she's really an amazing soul, to our show, Inspirational Journeys Through Life. And she's here to inspire you. Trust me, you will be inspired. Now, Kanika is a holistic health coach, a quantum healer, and a chartered financial analyst. Wow, look at that title. She loves to guide and equip people with tools and modalities to live meaningful and radiant lives, propelling them to realize their own inner power to evolve consciously and authentically as well. Her sole mission is to empower humanity and to wake up to their natural gifts. Of course, did you realize that? We all have natural gifts, but how many of us are waking up to it? So Kanika is your contact person, your go-to person to teach you how to do this, and also to co-create and rise together to their truest, unique potential. So once again, Kanika, welcome to Inspirational Journeys Through Life with Straight Talk with Nolan. It's such a pleasure to have you here today. Thank you for making the time.
Thank you so much, Nolan. The pleasure is all mine. I'm truly grateful and honored to be here. And hello to everybody who's listening. Thank you for taking the time out and listening to us and saying yes to yourself.
Awesome. Yes to yourself. Now, Kanika, I know you for a while now, right? But there's so many other things I don't know about you. But all I know is you're an amazing soul. You're an angel on earth. All of these nice things. You are that. You're a go-getter. I see how you go about your life and the way you do things. Tell us a bit more about you. Where did you actually grow up? What were your goals in life then? And how much has it changed from then till now? Or has it changed?
Dylan, that's a very, I love the last part of your question. So basically, I live in a tiny island called Bahrain. It's in the Middle East. It's a very small island, and I'm Indian. I've got Indian roots. Born and brought up in Bahrain with Indian roots. A very traditional Indian family setup. Small nuclear family of 4. I've got an older sister, and I'm the younger one. And my background could be called as more of the intertwining of Indian traditions with a Western outlook, because I've always been outside of India, but very rooted to my culture. And that's how I was brought up, very grounded, very, let's say, the perfect daughter in terms of all the morals and cultures and values. But yet, by heart, I am an absolute free spirit who loves to break all the rules from the start. Yet, be hiding in the shadows and be like, oh no, I'm the perfect daughter, but wanting to do everything naughty possible. And that's why, when you say, what did I want to do before? I wanted to ride the skies. I wanted to be an air hostess. And then we shifted to being a housewife because I just saw my mom having, such a beautiful life, not waking up at 6. I mean, she did wake up, but then I didn't know the intricacies of life back then. So I'm like, oh, I just want to chill in life, which then changed to, I didn't even realize I hit my teenagehood and societal programming started on for me. And, like any good Indian daughter. I mean, I know your Indian listeners would understand, but for the rest, we're go-getters, but we're very competitive when it comes to our thing. So for me, the competition really hit me hard in terms of I needed to be a perfectionist and a gold medalist in everything, which of course bogged me down and killed the free spirit within me. But that is when I realized that I was going against life, right? But it was not in my head, but I knew within me, I'm like, no, I still need to do this. It's still the need to do and not the desire or want to do was the biggest difference back then. So for me, then it just started with, okay, get great grades. Let's go do accountancy and finance, and then come and get a great job, and then do a chartered financial analyst, which was my thing. And of course, I had 3 years of, let me tell you this with utmost humility and no offense, that I think I killed myself of 3 years because it was something that I wanted to do for the society, but it was not true to myself. And then also I didn't realize. So I kept on ticking these boxes of life, right? Be the perfect daughter, be the perfect student, do the most glamorous thing, which is investment banking, and like all these big, big things, which I mean, you've got perspectives, but for me now, they don't really matter much. But this is where I achieved my chartered financial analyst until the time where life was like, enough. I think you've got to really wake up. And that was in 2018. So I can dwell on that as well if you want to. But yeah, that was when my wake-up call came in 2018.
Well, hold that wake-up call. We're going to come back to it, right, in a bit. But I just want to talk a bit more because, I'm also of Indian origin as well. And the society programming, one could say it's so 1940s, etc. And we should not be experiencing that in this century, but it still happens all the time, right? And when you think about society conditioning, I would call it, it's more about us wanting to please other people. And this is where you said your free spirit got lost, because now you're becoming like a people pleaser, and you're forgetting who Kanika is and what Kanika wants to do. And it's so true that a lot of parents want the children to live their goals and not allowing them the space to go and find their own goals. Because our parents want us to go to school, good education, go to university, good job, get married, have 100 children, have 100 children, and just sit back and enjoy life. That is not life, right? And especially coming from a female point of view, you just don't want to be a baby-making machine, so to speak, right? Because you want to be this free spirit, this independent person that wants to go out and venture out and live your purpose. Now, do you think that parents are realizing that at this stage that we should not be doing this to children? Even when the child becomes full-grown adult, we should still not be doing this, right? We should allow them to go out and find what they want to do. So,
and I completely agree, Nolan. What happens is, and that's what I see, right? I don't want to blame the parents as well, because they've been brought up with the same set of culture and values set that they're just like copy and pasting when they become parents. But that's why conscious parenting comes into place, because parents have got an image of what they want for their child, not understanding what is the child's true happiness coming from, where is it coming from, And this is where a lot of parents need to wake up. A lot of them have woken up, thankfully, from the past 10 years till now. Like if you see now, there are much awakened parents, which is great. But honestly, like I'm a prey to that as well. Like there are so many times where, a parent's expectation, which I have seen in my own family, has, really literally stripped off the child's dreams because they want to do something else. And the parents like, no, you've got to do this. You've got to do this. The child is failing for an examination. Why are you like forcing the child to do so? Because from their perspective as well, they're like, no, this is the only right thing to do. Yeah. Not knowing that there's so many other avenues available for children. So it's unfortunate, but this is where we come. This is where things like podcasts and actually people speaking about the uncomfortable truth comes out, because this is uncomfortable. This is the bitter truth, that, you've got to own up to what you feel is right for the child and what the child wants to really do in their life. Let it be a learning lesson. Overprotectiveness in the form of love is one of the very important false identities that I see within parents. Like they just feel like, oh, it's love, but it's unnecessary overprotectiveness, which is not needed.
True. And one could say it's kind of selfish love in a way, right? If you look at it from a different angle. But you're right, the cycle needs to be broken, because we can't go on to forever like this. And I think what parents and senior family members need to realize is the more pressure you put on children, etc., the more mental health wellness issues we're going to have. And you can see it out there now. A lot of kids are committing suicide, etc., because of all the pressures that they have from family members. So we need to snap out of this and start growing up as well. And you're right, you said it beautifully. It's the uncomfortable truth that we need to address as well. And that's a bigger topic that, we must address at some point as well. But I want to go back. You ended up on self-love as well. Everything that you've been through with the society programming, etc., I don't see it as a loss. I see it as a learning for you, because if you didn't learn through all of that, you wouldn't be this person that you are now. You wouldn't be this authentic person. So, take some good from that it really grew you up into the person that you are now. So what does self-love really mean to you, and why is it important for you and your growth as well?
So, Nolan, for me, self-love is a non-negotiable thing. People have this really big misconception that self-love is selfish because you're loving yourself.
Yeah.
But people don't understand the crux of self-love. Self-love is loving yourself no matter what, loving your gifts, loving all the successes that you have, but also loving the challenges that life, offers you to face. Also your weaknesses, your weak spots, also those egoic deficiencies that you have within you, your flaws. You've got to own up to it. So you've got to own everything and embody everything and love yourself. Not be harsh on yourself that, oh, you know what, I can't probably speak French, or, you know what, oh shit, I really messed up the speech in front of everybody. No, you are who you are, no matter what. And people think that, when they take some time out, especially, this goes out for, I don't know why this is coming, this goes out of all the mothers that feel that, oh my God, just taking some time out away from the children is selfish. It is not. You need some space for yourself, because only when you come back to yourself is when you realize what you really want in life. You start loving your relationships when you love yourself. It all starts from an internal perspective. That's when it's literally shot outside, so that your other relationship grows and become better. Because if you don't give time for yourself, you're always bogged down, you're always irritated, you're always doing things that don't keep you happy, don't make you happy.
True.
So that's, for me, self-love is just loving yourself no matter what, with whatever you have, and own up to it. It doesn't matter whatever it is.
So taking ownership for your life, right? Because if nobody's going to come and just take ownership for your life. You got to do it. And I like the way you spoke about self-love is not selfish, right? It really is not. Because in order for us to move forward in life, it got to start with loving yourself. If you can't love yourself, how are you going to love another person? That will never really happen. So you got to work on yourself, work from within. And once you work from within and become the so loved up person, then you'll start opening up doors for bringing other people into there as well. But it also doesn't mean that you allow other people to come into your space or your boundary and they come and take advantage of it, right? And I guess it's at this point that your self-love is so strong and so powerful that you know who to allow into your boundary or into your space as well, right? So
absolutely. The power of no. That's what I tell people. The power of no. You guys need to know your truth and saying yes, but understand the power of no. It is remarkable when you understand boundaries. And that's where it again stems from self-love, that, oh, is it really being good to me and good to myself? If not, then chuck it out. It doesn't matter.
Yeah.
But, that's very, it's funny that you said that, it starts from you, and then, you can really have much more importance for the other relationships of your life. Because I really feel that if you don't love and respect yourself, the need and desire to love others would also not come across that well. You'd want to tear them down because you don't love yourself from within. So, things like jealousy and all come from that scarcity of not loving yourself, of not feeling enough within.
And not many people admit to that, right? Not many people admit that they really need to do the work on themselves. Or it could be just that they don't know that they need to work on themselves, because a lot of people come across as being like this perfect person, but nobody's perfect, right? We all are unique. And the other thing I find, what people tend to do is they tend to try and be somebody they're not. So to everyone listening, be yourself, love yourself for who you are. God didn't spend so much of time creating you just for no reason. Of course, you're part of the mix as well, right? So you're a unique person. You have a unique DNA. So respect that and appreciate that as well, and use it to your advantage. Self-love is such a topic that is so important, right? I am almost sure that you just didn't figure this out overnight. There must have been something that happened along the way, because prior to this, you were a people pleaser. And then now you speak about, self-love now, where you really found yourself and you're this free spirit and stuff. What was a trigger for you to realize that you matter, that you are important, that you mean the world to yourself? And of course, you also mean the world to your parents and your siblings as well. What happened that made you realize that?
Wow. So this was like, I think, the biggest life lesson. And let me tell everybody that, I was a perfectionist before. I was like this crazy person who tear herself down to please people and perfection out everything. But like I said, all through my life, I had to tick the check boxes. So in 2018, I actually had the darkest night of my soul, like the darkest moment that I feel is one of the biggest teachers for my life. And it was when I was in a toxic marriage, and it literally stripped me off, not just mentally, physically, but emotionally and spiritually as well. Like the Kanika that was there was completely torn and broken down. And that marriage was so toxic that it led me to this whole new era of actually loving myself. Because when I got married, it was a completely different story. If you want, I can get deeper into it, but I was basically abused and poisoned to the point that in 19 days, I was 8 kgs down. Literally came back to my parents when they found out, and things were taken in control. I came back on a wheelchair, completely distraught from this marriage. And I didn't even know, because what happens is when you start pleasing people, you don't even realize you start literally digging a big, deep hole for yourself. Yeah. I thought that, this is a marriage. I need to compromise. It's okay. The red flags that come in front of you, you even like defer them, you don't even ignore them. You don't even look at them, because you're just like, no, it's fine. Society tells it was an arranged marriage. Nothing against anyone. I know this was a lesson for me, the biggest lesson for me. So I'm actually truly thankful. And I think my ex-husband was the first person that I completely forgave in my life. He was the very first person. That's when I understood the power of forgiveness. But coming back to that story, when I came back completely dejected, and I give thanks to my mother, who just like sat and she's like, no, you're going to come and you're going to end this marriage right now, right? It was 19 days, but excruciatingly painful 19 days that I came back and I saw myself, and I was on literally 10 pills a day. 10 pills a day. I was having 4 different diseases per se. And that was just the surface level diseases. The other emotional and mental scarring that's something that people don't even realize, right? Physical is something that's tangible, but the intangible things that, literally eat you up from within, like the mental health, is something that you can't even quantify. So that was the time when, after like 2 months of just being on medication, I was like, what is going on? Like, why am I finding everything that needs to validate me externally? I think it's time to, work something internally. And that's when I'm like, leave all of this. I'm going to start researching on health. And that's when I became a health researcher and, started taking the reins in my hand of my own life, being the director of my life, right? And slowly and steadily, bit by bit, I didn't know what was happening, but when there's a certain magic that happens when you declare it to the universe of what your intention is.
True.
Because the moment I declare that, no, I'm going to take my power back, I need to do something for my health, not depend on the medical system. And that's when things opened up, platforms opened up for me, the whole plethora of personal development opened up for me. And that's when I started realizing the more I dwelled into improving myself and gaining more knowledge for me to improve me, the more I understood that, oh, wow, this is all an internal game. I need to first fix myself in every possible manner. And then only can I go and serve, or do whatever I want to do in my life. And things like purpose, passion, those words actually started having a deeper meaning for me, because that's when I realized, oh, wow, okay, this is how I fix myself. I literally, it took me 2 years, but without any doctor, I fixed myself to the extent that there were doctors who couldn't even clear up my acne. I had like terrible acne because of thyroid issues, because of course, a viral illness that had gone wrong due to me being in that situation, in that marriage. And everything, it was just a cascading effect, but understanding that all of that happened to lead me to this point, it was a cosmic slap for me. I call it a cosmic slap. Life waking up and life telling me to wake up, and really be the person who I want to be. And that's from there, Kanika's self-love journey started, because she started focusing on herself and not the outside noise around her. Wow. So that's where I shifted.
Wow. So when you read that story, I did not hear your story, in depth like this before. My body, I was getting goosebumps as well, when you mentioned even about the wheelchair as well. Did you say, so was it 19 days after marriage, or so?
Yeah, 19 days after
marriage in total. And
yes.
coming home in a wheelchair, I can just imagine what your parents were actually feeling at the time. But I want to, before we get in a bit more into, I'm grateful that you are here. I'm more grateful that you forgave him, your ex, as well. That's a very big step, to the audience listening out there. That's a massive step towards restoring your dignity and restoring yourself. You got to forgive that person. And of course, we don't know what he had been through in his life that got him to be the person that he was now as well. And it's not an excuse. It's not an excuse for abuse or anything like that. But it's just an understanding that people go through things like that. But when you focus more on you, there's so many good things you said in there where you started realizing self-love was important. You did the research on your own. You didn't have a coach or a counselor so working with you. Am I right? You did.
No.
Right? Well, you used the Google University and
Google University. I love that.
You came out of this. That is such a major accomplishment. I think and it's such a big learning for you as well, because that whole 2018, it's only 4 years ago, or 5 years, going on to 5 years now, that transformed you or molded you into the person that you are becoming now as well, because you see it firsthand. So not all bad. Well, from the bad, if you take the bad and use it as an opportunity to grow through it, rather than just go through it. Because Kanika, you'll agree, and I don't know whether you have friends or family or know of people. There are so many people that are in toxic relationships like this, and they just allow themselves to go through it. They're not thinking about growing and growing through it, right? And that is why we have sessions like this, is to help educate others, to make them realize if they feel that they need to get out of this relationship, they must do it now. Don't stay in a toxic relationship. It's like anything toxic. If you're in a toxic environment at work, get out of it. Get out of it. You can try to fix it, and I'm sure you try to fix things within the marriage as well, and you reach a point where you can't fix it anymore. Some things are just not fixable, and it's a lesson that you've taken there as well. So power of no is so important as well. And in your research, we now have established again that knowledge is power, right? Because once you gain all this knowledge, it's your freedom. Knowledge is your financial freedom, not the amount of money you have in your bank account as well. Because I'm sure when you walked out from there, when your mom, with the aid of your mom as well, where she was there and said, that's it, end this relationship, you had that support structure in her already, and with your dad as well. So, wow, such a journey to go through in life and come out of it tops, because you're just growing and growing as well. So it all started with that self-love as well. What can you tell to people out there that are going through something like this?
Nolan, it's nice that you asked this, because I really wanted to tell this to people, that you take any radical decision in your life, right? Ending that marriage was not easy. I wanted to give it another 6 months because of what? Number one, I felt like, oh my God, I was being a failure, right? Failing at something, because of the perfectionist in me thought, how can I have a failed marriage? Or, the thing like, oh my God, my parents have invested so much money and time in this. Like, how can it be a complete waste? Third was, what is the society going to say? Like, you always have all these mental chatter that's going to go through your head while you're in a space where it is completely degrading you. But you still want to give it a chance purely because you think that, oh, something outside is going to affect it, or within you, there's a self-sabotage pattern, which is, in my case, it was, how can I be a failure? How can I fail at this? But it was that nudge from my mother that came through that told me, okay, you know what, let's go through it. But what if you don't have that nudge? It doesn't matter. This is your wake-up call. Listening to us right now can be your wake-up call. And my friend, my beautiful soul, whoever's listening right now, please understand something that is making you cry each day, something that is affecting your health, something that is making you the worst version of you, is not meant for you. It is not meant for you, point blank. And you could just say that, oh, I'm in a toxic work environment. Yeah, fine. Then in that case, what do I do, Kanika? Fine. Be in your bubble, but at least take that one step outside where you can see something else for yourself. Start that action towards shifting that reality. Because if you don't make that intention, you'll keep on literally dwelling in that thought that, I want to call it like the gunk. You don't want to dwell in gunk. Get out. What are you doing to shift your reality? And only you can be your own accountability partner in this case. Because if you don't make that conscious choice to shift, no one will for you. And for the ones who are thinking about society, let me tell you one thing. Society will never think of you if you don't think about yourself. Yeah. Society is just an outer reflection of what you think about yourself. And if the society talks, let them talk. Because you know what? Within 4 years, the society who spoke about my divorce are now applauding me for the woman that I am right now. So if I actually listen to them at that moment, it would be a disservice to me. Yeah. Don't be a disservice to yourself. And that doesn't come from a narcissistic behavior. It comes from literally knowing that this is not of my highest and I need to move out, point blank. The moment you take that intention, I can guarantee you that you will find something or the other that will come through to you, which will help you ascend in your life.
Wow. Very well said. Such sound advice for anyone that's actually going through this as well. And, society plays a part in all of this all the time. There's one thing that I learned about society now, and anything that I go through in life personally as well. I always say myself, what other people think about me is none of my business. And really, it's none of my business. At the end of the day, they're not living the life that we are living, right? So why should we even focus on them as well? And the second part you mentioned is, don't be that person that just complains all the time about your situation without taking action to do something about it. Because you get these complainers and these whiners that will complain on end, right? Even about sickness as well. A person will complain, oh, I'm not feeling good. I'm feeling so tired, except, yes, okay, fine, you're feeling tired. So what? What are you doing about it? Are you exercising? Are you eating healthy? Are you having lots of hydration, etc.? So don't be that complainer, rather take action and do something about it. So Kanika, that's a story that's an amazing story. And I know that the listeners are going to resonate with it. We're currently speaking about something in South Africa. We've started up a series called Gender-Based Violence. And what we're actually realizing as well is, as much as women feel that a lot of them are affected by gender-based violence, it's actually also the men that are affected by gender-based violence as well. What we're realizing that, of course, both sides need to work on this together and realize what's the root cause of this, what's really causing it. So there's a lot of topics around gender-based violence, and we would like it to stop, because a lot of the youth are picking up on this now, and it's kind of becoming like their behavior now. You see it in the schools, you see it in the way they handle the young girls. You'll find like a group of 5 boys together, and this girl is in the center, and they just touching her everywhere and stuff. And where they pick this up from, I have no idea. But we need to go and educate them on how to behave. So, there's a lot of things happening in this world, but it all back to what you said, it starts with you. If you are in an abusive relationship, or if you are in an unhappy relationship, remember, your happiness matters to you. Firstly, it must matter to you. So if your life means so much to you, you are going to do something to get out of that situation. And you should. If you are not inspired enough by Kanika's journey, coming home 19 days, mind you, 19 days later in a wheelchair, and if you are facing something similar, think about it in this way. You don't want to come back home 10 or 2 years later, being through all this abuse, etc., in a coffin, because that's exactly what it leads to as well. So thank you for sharing that. Back to your strength, your courage, to who you've become now, in my eyes, this go-getter person, this amazing person. Let's talk about your holistic health and your quantum healing as well. How did you become a quantum healer? Because this is something special, right? Not anyone can just decide to become a quantum healer or a holistic health coach, and to help others more so. You chose to serve humanity. You chose to help other people. What brought this about?
Oh, wow. So, like I said, right?
Before you get there, so I want the audience to really get this, right? This is somebody that's coming from a chief financial analyst, right? Corporate mind, chief financial analyst, to a holistic health coach and a quantum healer. It's a major shift. It's a big difference. And for the air hostess part, I get that, right? That's different. But it's a big shift. What really happened, or why is this a career choice for you?
Right. So yeah, it's like a 180-degree switch, but a switch that I would say like the best thing that happened to me. So what happens is that, and that's when I tell people that when you make an intention, you don't realize how things open up for you. And for me, that was my intent, right? When I said that enough is enough, I'm going to take my health back. I'm going to take everything and start doing stuff for myself. I was literally researching about so many topics on health and health and health that within a span of 3 years, I had this massive amount of knowledge that I used to give advices for free to people, but there were a lot of people who always had this hesitance to take it because I was not certified or I didn't have the degree, right? So this is one of those, let's say, blind eye and just shot the dart and it's hit the bullseye kind of a thing where I'm just like, you know what? I think it's time that for the society and for the people to help bigger like a bigger population, a bigger section of a population. Let me get certified so that my knowledge and my intuitive abilities that I have with my body that I've literally like built over the time, let me do a certification so that I can help better. And that's when I got, certified as a holistic health coach by Mind Valley. And as and when I kept on doing that, there were a lot of epiphanies. When you really start coaching yourself, that's when I understood the value of coaching yourself. And when I used to do coaching by myself, but it was a very different way. When you start learning modalities of a certain profession, let's say, it's when you realize that, oh, there are other key techniques or modalities that you can use within yourself to unlock a lot more within you. Your latent abilities start showing up to you. So that's what happened to me. When I started self-coaching myself, I was like, wow, there's a lot more to health than I actually thought. And Nolan, let me tell you one thing. As a person, I'm an empath. And I was always a people's person, but I never knew this ability of mine, which I call my superpower now, is to really vibe with the person, understand the person's energy, and just mold myself with that. And that's how I used to coach people, but I didn't know that this is what it meant. And as and when I finished my coaching journey, you need coaching hours and this and that. I met so many people, a plethora of people. And I was like, wow, okay, fine. And I was literally on the cusp of ending my holistic health coaching and, getting certified. And I once again sat and reflected. I'm like, what am I supposed to do? And that's when I realized I understood life differently. Let me give you an analogy. We all think we've got this body and then we've got like this auric field, like our aura, which comes in an MRI as well, like, your aura. But life is different. It's basically everything has an energetic blueprint, which decompresses into a physical body in this life. And that is actually quantum biology and quantum physics, by the way, for people who don't know. But so that's when I realized, I'm like, if I have understood everything about health, what is this one other modality that is missing in my toolkit to serve the maximum, to the best of my abilities? And that's why I understood energetics. And that's when I realized, I'm like, oh, okay, that's interesting. And of course, the universe presented me with quantum healing, which is basically using the quantum field, which is the field all around us. It's basically everything that you see in life. This is quantum physics again, but it's quantified, right? It's all science. This is all science. And it's all around us. And how do you be a healer in terms of just bringing everyone back to their natural state? Because what happens is, like we said, we spoke, we're programmed to such extents with so many different paradigms in our life that we forget our true essence of who we were. I forgot I was a free spirit. Now I am a free spirit. I'm embodying who I am. So that's why things have opened up. Look at you. You're actually doing things that light up your heart every single day, Nolan. And that's why you love doing what you're doing, because it's true to your soul. Yeah. So that's what I realized, like, interesting. And I chose to do quantum healing. I like the whole course, the entire course. And as when I did that, I worked so much, not only on my internal mental modalities and emotional modalities, but the field around me. That when you shift the field around you, you have the ability to shift your reality, because that's when you understand that, oh my God, I'm not just my physical self, but I've got so many thoughts, I've got so many emotions, I've got so many inbuilt traumas within me that are actually showing up in the walking reality of my life. And that's when I was like, it was a wake-up call for me that that's it. That's what I need to do. And I kept on doing it. And now I have like this nice platter that is ready for me to show up and wake that innate power in everyone that I come across. It's like, it doesn't even matter. Whoever I meet, my whole intention is always to leave them a better version of themselves, reminding them of who they truly are. That's it.
Wow. That's I'm so glad, because if you look at where you've come now, you've used everything that you've been through in life to transform into this person that you are. And now you're telling others that, hey, you can transform as well, especially when it comes to health, right? And take health further with holistic health, which is a major difference as well. And now you're bringing in quantum healing as well. People are forgetting about the science behind life, right? Because there's a science to everything in life. Everything is really about numbers as well, once you start understanding it. You know, and people say that they pray to the moon, for example, or they wait for that special. There's some science behind why you're actually doing it. There's laws. There's laws of the universe. If you start understanding the laws of the universe, then you as a person will realize that there's certain things you can block out completely from your mind, from your subconscious mind, basically. You can stop it from before it gets in there. So it goes back to, you know, the way that we create habits around us on a daily basis. So I'm loving the fact that you've taken all these bad experiences that you've been through, you've converted into becoming a holistic health coach and a quantum healer, and now you want to transform humanity, right? So you want to empower humanity. And you know, humans, Kanika, to be honest, right? Humans can be really, really shitty at times, right? Humans, and not in a bad way, but you know, the problem with humans that I see around me is humans don't like to question certain things. Humans are too content with their life. You know, like relationships, abusive relationships. They're so content, they rather stick there and stick it out rather than doing something different. And why I say humans can be really crappy at times is, look at COVID, right? When COVID was here, humans were sticking together like glue. If neighbors needed groceries to be bought and a neighbor had COVID, neighbors were going and buying the groceries and leaving it for them. COVID ended, we all went back to our bad habits. You know, so when you say you want to empower humanity, you got a lot of work to do. I'm just setting you up. You got a lot of work to do. How are you going to overcome these? There's a lot of challenges. How do you intend doing this?
So that's what, Nolan, I always say that we've got this gigantic task of like awakening humanity, you know, to who they are. And that's why I always come back to who you are, who you truly are. Because you know what? You can go about all your life, and that's what happens, right? COVID ended and everyone went back to square one, because you go all through your life in this sleep mode that you've been, you know, literally since the birth till now, you've been going through a process. So what happens is you're in default mode of just doing the things that are so comfortable to you. And you don't like being entering the uncomfortable zone, whereas basically where your growth starts. So for me, my whole mission for humanity is to wake them up. In plain, simple words, like for me, I'm a transmuter. I turned my pain into power. And everybody, every life lesson that has, you know, since my childhood till now, if I do a reverse gap analysis, everything that happened to me was for me, to embody the higher version of myself, that where I am today, Kanika Jain, is because of not just the successes that she had, but because of all the failures and challenges that life gave to her. Because if they weren't there, I would still be a chartered financial analyst at some boring job. I'm being very honest with all of you. It's a dead-end job and, you know, not doing things that really spark her. But that's what I want for humanity. Our first and foremost thing should be to awaken them. Because if you're sleeping, you'll continue to sleep. And that is going about life with terrible relationships or a terrible job, or like just, you know, thinking, oh, you know, let me just earn money. And then when I hit 60, it's retirement and then I can have fun. Why do you have to wait till 60 to have fun?
Yeah.
You can enjoy every waking day of your life, right?
Yeah. But
so, yeah.
No, carry on.
Yeah, so for me, that is my mission. Like, it all starts from how do I want to serve? And my divine service and my divine purpose is, like I said, making people evolve consciously and authentically. Whoever comes to me, and I'm here to assist everybody. At times, you know, people think like, oh, okay, where can we connect? I do a lot of things like connecting to you, you know, my Insta posts or whatever. It's not because I want to monetize it. Yeah, there is a monetary aspect to it. But whoever wants to read those messages and understand the deeper meanings behind it, and who wants a chance to awaken themselves should have a chance and should have. We had support systems in, let's say, Google Encyclopedia, but now you have specific people who can help you, who can handhold you
Absolutely.
if you choose to really wake up and smell the coffee, smell that your life is so much more than just what you've been shown on TV shows and programs. There are documentaries, but those, the sad truth is things that need to be shown are kept in a small box and deemed as documentaries rather than actually showing it as mainstream. And that's why we change makers come into place. We've got to change. And it's not just like we are coaches, we are what? I see light workers like people like us in every sphere of society, of industries, lawyers. There's so many lawyers who are actually voicing out for COVID. There's so many activists that are going ahead telling that our soil is getting depleted. There are people, but you've got to awaken the masses. And how do you do it? You touch one soul, that one soul is going to touch another soul. So for me, I had a mission of 1 million souls, and everyone's like, oh, how are you going to touch 1 million? I'm like, even if I touch 100,000, do you know the cascading effect on what they'll have in their own family members and then their family members? It's like rat babies multiplying, literally. So it's basically that. So, as humongous as this task looks like for us, Nolan, I think these bits and pieces that we're doing by showing up as ourselves and trying to help even one soul makes a huge difference.
Absolutely. And it's exactly taking that ripple effect, right? You touch one, that one touches the next one. And before you know it, more and more people are becoming awakened as well. And people need to become awakened. It's quite important because in the century that we live in, you need to get out of this comfort cage. Those days of just being content with life and just accepting life the way it is, worried about society and what society thinks about you and stuff like that. Those days are all over. With the amount of resources we have today, and apart, like Kanika says, it's not only the resources like watching YouTube or Google or anything, it's resources like us, light workers, people that are really spreading positive, effective messages out there as well. We here, Kanika, you'll agree totally with me, we here to add value to other people. Whoever we come across, we're going to make sure when that conversation is over, we're leaving them with something to think about. And that's quite important as well. It's been amazing having you on the show today. And, I love this point, turn your pain into power. And that's exactly what you've done today as well. So from my side, I want to say thank you so much for inspiring us today. I am truly grateful. I know the audience is truly grateful that you are on Inspirational Journeys Through Life with Straight Talk with Nolan today. Any last words or tips for our audience? And how can they get in touch with you, most importantly?
Firstly, thank you so much, Nolan, for bringing me here, giving me a platform to voice out and inspire people. What you're doing is truly remarkable because, like I say, with one drop after one drop, you make an entire sea, right? And what you're doing to empower humanity is something that I personally, I'm a big, big, big supporter of this as well. And this is what we're doing together. And for me, this was such a wonderful opportunity. So truly grateful and thankful to you and the person who you are, because you've inspired me in so many ways. And this is how a chain reaction goes about, right? You inspire, then I inspire, then someone else gets inspired and inspires the other person. But for me, my humble request to whoever is listening to this is, if anything literally hits you hard in your heart with this whole session that we have, listen to it. Listen to your intuitive guidance. Listen to your heart. Wherever you are, whatever you're doing at this moment, just take a pause and just come back to yourself and remind yourself of how remarkable you are, how magnificent you are. There are billion stars in the sky, but yet we admire each and every star. And that is what we are on earth. We're linchpins. We're literally linchpins with unique gifts and talents. You don't, if your neighbor is the best lawyer, you don't need to be the best lawyer. You could be the best baker. and bake the best cookies in the world, but do it with your heart. Always listen to your heart over your mind. Bring your mind to your heart and then start acting. And I can assure you, the world is going to be a canvas for you to paint with such vibrant colors that it's going to open up you to magic and miracles in your life and wake you up to your true potential, because you're here to serve and to be the best of who you are.
Wow. Such sound advice. Thank you so much, Kanika. I really appreciate that. To everyone out there, thank you for listening to our show today. I'm sure you're going to love this. It's going to be on YouTube. It's going to be an audio version as well. Make sure you like and share this with your family, your friends, whoever would need to hear, to listen to this as well. And also, when you get onto YouTube, leave your comments at the bottom there, and Kanika will answer your comments for you. Also, subscribe to our channel so that whenever we launch a new inspirational show like the one we're doing today, you will have first-hand access to it as well. So thank you once again. We really appreciate your time, and we wish you a beautiful evening, afternoon, or morning, wherever you are. Thank you so much, Kanika. Really appreciate it.
Thank you so much. And for the ones who want to connect with me, I'll definitely share my Insta profile with Nolan, so you can connect. We can have a chat. You can do whatever, but just listen to your guidance. And we're here for you. We're here to support you. We're here to inspire you and empower you. So much love to all of you. And Nolan, thank you once again, and have a beautiful day and week ahead.
Thank you so much. Really appreciate it. And we will be sharing your contact details on all our postings as well. So you will get in touch with Kanika, and be sure to follow her as well, because she posts some amazing stuff on social media. You need to look at what she's posting, read it, absorb it, and understand it. All right, everyone. Cheers now.